Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the SimSN podcast, the show where I ask some of my favorite questions to some of your favorite people. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by our first ever returning guest. He was on the show earlier to talk to Alex Fall, and now he's back to talk to me. Jedibob, welcome back.
Hello, hello. Good to see you. As you likely know, as viewers likely know, I am the head coach of the Michigan State Spartans, and I am the GM of the New Orleans Saints.
Thanks again. So is this your second or your third off season now in SimSN?
Uh, second and a half.
Okay.
When I came in, it was mid off season of after let's see, we just finished 26 and first full is it third? Because I was it's okay. It's Landrum's third year, and one of the first things I did with the Saints and Bingo was that draft where we got Landrum.
Okay.
So this is going into my third year.
Yeah.
I when I came into Michigan State, it was like right at the end of the portal period, so I had to like scramble for a couple of C pluses just to pad out what I could get. But um, yeah, so it technically the third, but the first was kind of a half off season.
Yeah. So it was fun listening back to your re-listening to your interview with Alex and talking about trying to get out of the cellar in the South. Which congratulations, you technically did that. You got to six. You doubled your win total. You got to six, but you beat Tampa Bay twice. So
Fourth to third. Fourth to third. I guess I
it's
doubled my win total in both leagues because I went from 3 wins with Michigan State as well, and then in that first year, and then I got to 6.
oh
Bowl
nice.
eligibility. Lost the bowl, but bowl eligible.
Hey, you showed up. That's a big deal.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think this year we're kind of really looking to turn the corner with the Saints. With Carolina in the division, and another up and coming quarterback with um, Kingery over in Tampa Bay. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be tough, but we're looking to support Landrum as best as we can, and he's broken 70 overall now. So I think we're really uh, looking to set up to at least make a run at a wild card spot. Is what
Yeah.
we're hoping for.
You got a new wide receiver one, trading for Michael Walker from the Chiefs.
Hmm.
That should help him, give him a new weapon.
Yeah, yeah. I was a little hesitant to let go of draft picks when we're still kind of looking to build a core, but at the same time, I think our absolutely most glaring need was wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we end up going wide receiver in the draft, kind of depends on what we end up scouting, is that receiver's still going to need a couple years to really get up to speed and develop. So we just needed an answer at wide receiver now. And the cap hit for this year was minimal, so
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like a good choice to go for Walker. Like only 1 point overall less than like the top free agency wide receivers for like a fraction of the cap.
Yeah.
So
Is this his last year on that deal?
I do believe it is his last year on the deal.
Okay.
He's also 29, so right kind of around that wide receiver prime age.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we just really need to be able to see that Landrum can succeed.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what we need to see from Landrum this year. So we're trying to do our best to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in the wide receiver draft this year. Wide receiver's been one of those weird positions that honestly hasn't made as big of an impact in some NFL, even as we do like boom bust and stuff. Like it's pretty much Will Huber and then kind of like everyone else. Um, but this year, but at least I haven't done any scouting yet. I don't know what boom bust did, but certainly pre-draft, it looked like coming out of college, it was going to be a strong wide receiver year.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky to be in need of a wide receiver and in possession of a top 10 pick this year.
Mm.
It's you've got a lot of there's a lot of really good looking prospects out there, and could have been even more if like Brad Pogue declared, but
Mm-hmm.
he's staying at Florida State for his last ride. But uh the one out of Baylor, I had his name a minute ago, but
Prochnow?
the Baylor wide receiver, hmm?
Prochnow? Is that?
Prochnow,
Yeah.
thank you. Tyler Prochnow looks really good.
Yeah.
He had like when he was his last college year, he was A pluses across the board on his player card. We'll have to see how the draft process changes that. I know we can do weird stuff with overalls. I think even before Boom Bust, but like Prochnow looked amazing. Boutillier over at Tulane has looked really good.
Hmm.
Hernandez at Nebraska. There's a lot of really
Yeah.
good wide receivers by the looks of things this year. Haven't actually done scouting points myself. I'm kind of waiting for the combine on that, but
Yeah.
um, I think we'll kind of, even if we don't get the top or even top two or even three options, I think we should still be in good shape with how deep this receiver class is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my initial mock had I had like 6 or 7 going in the first round.
Sounds
It's
about right.
yeah, it's pretty wild. Um, Inevitably, yeah, there's going to be someone who's going to fall and someone who's going to shoot up based on pro days and combine. Um, but yeah, it looks like a really good a really good year to need a wide receiver, and a good year, as you said, to have the 10th overall pick. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually in possession of our first round pick this time after the little embarrassment last year with uh, our pick going to the Lions and end up being number 2. Although they traded that away to uh, I
Ironically,
think Tampa Bay,
for
right?
Kingery, ironically, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they traded that away to Kingery. I mean, we wouldn't have gone QB there because
no,
we still have Landrum, but
but that is a
um,
weird kind of full circle thing.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
your pick and
It
ended
ends up
up
going to
wow,
Tampa Bay, who gets Kingery. And that was a wild draft. With all the quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, but not in the order that anyone expected going into it, at least
yeah,
from outside observers. But yeah, so far I think all of them have actually looked good. I know that Savage in Baltimore has looked pretty solid as well. Kingery, I think, needs some time to develop, and they kind of need to build the roster up around him. But I think he showed flashes.
hmm,
But Romero in San Francisco, that was kind
yeah,
of the real big one because I think he kind of came in immediately, and Solano who.
hmm, yeah. There was
um,
a stretch of I want to say I remember making a post about him in the Discord. I think it was out of in a stretch of 5 games, and he had like 70% completions and like 1 pick, and
yeah,
something like 10 touchdowns. Like it was wild. Um,
yeah.
and
Novella's been doing really good job over there, kind of bringing everything together. I know it's taken a while for the Niners rebuild to come together, but I think getting Romero has kind of been huge for them.
yeah, they have a but they I think they spent almost every first round pick other than Robbie Stewart, or no, Robbie Stewart would be on offense. On offense, like they have, from Robbie Stewart and
Mhm.
Nebel, and then Ramos and those receivers. So like there was a lot there. Um, they just to your point, couldn't
The
unlock
other
it.
Nebel.
Yeah, the other yeah. um, they just couldn't unlock it until they got the right quarterback. But there's a lot there to work with. Um,
Yeah, yeah. We're kind of doing it in a different order a little bit, but goals because we got the quarterback first, they got the quarterback last. Um, yeah, but really, really hoping that Landrum really pulls it together this year. I think I think we kind of just need to find the right scheming around him, and then just make sure that he actually has weapons, which is what the trade with Kansas City was really hoping to do. Get him an actual good weapon.
mm-hmm.
Um, we haven't had anything over. I mean, we had Charles Brown last year, which we traded with Washington for, but I think that his overall was kind of really lifted by his football IQ, which was
Mm,
pretty high, but also he didn't have the speed anymore because he was like 34, 30, 35 or something, and he
yeah.
just didn't have the speed. But Walker has still has plenty of speed. So hopefully he can get behind some defenses and management can get it over to him.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And you got a big win with the Bear Plow signing what
The
ended up
barrel
being
plow, yes.
a pretty
I'm glad
friendly
that's
deal.
catching on.
Of course.
I'm glad the barrel plow thing is catching on. I came up with that one. I think I think it was it Sweezy or Spoof also came up. One of the two came up with like Bear Claw, which I think
Mm,
was also pretty good. But yeah, I was, you know, just kind of that random UDFA windfall, and with how much of an outlier he was, and how he's already the best player on our team.
hmm
Overall wise, it just coming up with a nickname and barrel plow fit.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's catching on. But yeah, I think due to the way that contracts in the sim kind of work with the comparison to other overalls, it kind of helped us out there because there really isn't anyone like Barraclow. So
Yeah.
it's comparing himself to the nearest overall bracket is be also comparing him with players that are a lot older than he is.
hmm
So that kind of it didn't really take into account that part of his value.
Yeah.
Um, and originally, I think that giving him the 2-year UDFA deal, which is what I originally gave him, I was originally kicking myself that I didn't give him longer. But I'm kind of coming to realize now that having that deal go up early before he balloons to like 90 something at 26,
Yeah.
it might actually kind of save us the long run. He's gonna be, I mean, I think he's gonna be like 28 when he gets his next contract, and his next
Mm.
contract I still think is going to be really steep because he's probably going to be
Probably
mid,
top five at
like
that
he's
point.
probably going to be 90s by then.
Yeah.
So yeah, and at 27, that's still, but that's a problem uh for 5 years from now. So
Yeah. And it's a good problem. How do I pay all these awesome players I have on my roster is one of the better problems to have. Yeah, I think
yep,
I'm
yep,
trying to remember the math. I think the sim is based so that I think 26 is the age where the age factor is zero, is flat. And then if you're older than that, it
something like
goes
that.
down based on whoever you're compared to, and then if you're younger than that, it goes up. So you had a
Yep.
guy who was younger, so he was getting paid more due to his age because of how young he was, and you moved him to tackle, which is a more expensive position. I know the sim does love to pay guards huge amounts of money, um, but pass blocking tackles are more expensive. So I think getting him for what just over 10 million a year for five
Yeah,
years.
yeah. Is I think I was our thinking was, you know, we had we had good guards. We had Mark Sharkey, who
That's a
has been
great name.
surprisingly good for us. Yeah. We signed him like in the preseason of that first year.
Really?
He wasn't like a free agency period pickup. He went into the preseason, but I think he was like 80 overall and 30, and I think that was
Mm,
kind of like, or even 30, was it 30 or 31? But I think the combination of the age and overall was kind of scaring other people off.
mm-hmm.
But uh he just started to regress this year, like 33, but he went to
Wow.
32 still going positive, so he had kind of a high roll in the prime age, um
Nice.
which kind of offset Arthur Madrano's low roll
Ugh,
on prime age. He started regressing at 28 right after we gave him a big deal.
that
So
was and that was rough. Yeah, because shut
yeah,
down corner, he got a big deal, and then immediately, yeah, that's tough.
uh, you know,
Ask
I think
Pittsburgh how that
what
goes.
corner average prime is 29, so it's just like a year short of that. But every year short of the average prime is just, it stings because you could have gotten another positive progression out of it, and it's like he could have been 80. He could have been like 86 or 88 or something, but instead he's 80. 82,
Yeah,
81. I think
especially
he's 80 this year.
paying him what you're paying him. Um,
Yeah, but it is what it is. We did manage to shed um the defensive end, that Brett McPhail's contract at
mm-hmm.
the end of the season, kind of shift that dead money, kind of make up for that. So we're working around it, and even as it is, Madrano's still 80 overall. That's still pretty solid for a corner. So
Yeah.
Not the worst thing in the world, especially with Barraclough.
Yeah. And I think one part of your team that I think is gonna should be getting some more recognition is that defensive line, because you added Dyson, which I know was the big splash last year.
Hmm.
But you have Dwayne DePaula, who just since his rookie year or since his first year, I feel like in the sim, is he? Oh no, he is a drafted guy, sixth year. I just has performed really well for his overall
Yeah,
level. I feel like.
DePaula, that was, he was drafted by Bingo before I got here.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't take all the credit from that, but it was building the defensive line the way that we have was very intentional. I think we kind of needed we really needed to have a cornerstone on that defense and have
Mm-hmm.
like a unit we could really build around and depend on. And when Dyson hit free agency, you mentioned in the last SimSN, this not the podcast, but the
Oh, the Sim NFL show.
Sim NFL show. The Sim NFL show. You mentioned that Dyson was the best defensive end for his age,
Mm-hmm.
like just period. And when we looked at what we had already, we have Paul Munford at the other end,
Mm-hmm.
who's still 80 plus. He's starting to regress, but he's still over 80. We had McPhail and DePaula at defensive tackle, and we even like our depth behind DePaula now that McPhail's gone. We have another one that's we have Preston Miller coming up as well.
Mm.
He's I think a decent number two. He's going to be a decent number two defensive tackle. I think DePaula's kind of become the centerpiece around that, along with Dyson along that defensive front. But we wanted to have a defensive front that could really get after quarterbacks
Mm.
because we're in a division with a lot of good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Um, we have to deal with Dakota Link and now Travis Kingery, and I imagine Atlanta's going to be gunning for their own franchise quarterback soon enough as it is. So we got to be ready to get after the quarterback with that. So we really built the defense around that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think looking at the some of the other top paid defenders, I think that is market rate what you paid him. I mean, it definitely is now, but I don't think for a guy of his caliber, I think that that's about what the top edge rushers are making. It's in that
Hmm.
11 to 14 million. Um, so I personally think
Yeah.
it's a great pick, and like yeah, he's best of the drafted players, one of the best D linemen, one of the best edge rushers. Maybe Soto hasn't beat out in that respect, but they're 1A and 1B, I think. So, um,
Yeah. I think it will be worth it. I do remember like we really bid high because we had a lot of cap space and we really wanted to get him. I think I was saying like shooting for. I think when I devised the contract, it was about 1.5 times the contract value he was asking for.
mm-hmm.
So definitely paid up for him, but also I there is a good chance that at some point during his contract he will be the best defensive lineman in the league, and I
Mm,
think at least by overall, and I think that's worth it.
yeah. And then it's doubly funny because um, because he left Dallas, who so he left Dallas and came to you, and then Dallas this year had to pay Michael DeWitt, their defensive end, and now they're paying him $14 million a year, which is what you paid Dyson and that's why. So they had to go
That's great.
100% to
Yeah,
keep him, and I don't know. That's another fun full circle moment. It's like, oh, Dallas is not letting this guy get away
not this time. Yeah.
if that's what it
I think
costs.
didn't they have like an absurdly unlucky roll with Dyson or something, like they were doing at the 75% rate for like multiple weeks in a row and he turned it down each time?
Yeah,
Something
Rocket
like
said
that.
it was like high 80s to low 90s% chance cumulatively that he would have taken one of them. Um, which I'm still not, as commissioner, I'm not 100% sold on that system. I think it's too there's too much of there's no reason to not uh, low lowball people. So I'm trying to think of ways to
Yeah.
maybe change it in the future. It's very one sided, and I worry about prices going down over time because so many guys are signing for 70 and 80%. Um, so the system really depends on free agency coming around to give guys the big deals that then those
Hmm.
extensions are based off. So that even when the extensions are paid at a discount, they still kind of keep the market going. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I
I do think that there is that the discount. It's it is a little not quite realistic because like with a lot of these contracts, taking less than what they would get on the open market. Um, in the real NFL, like yeah, you can generally get away with signing relatively team friendly terms because you don't have anyone to get into a bidding war with. But at the same time, if you lowball someone, they're not going to sign and they're going to test free agency.
yeah
In the sim. So it's like people taking 80-90% of what they could get if they're revalue, especially at like the 80% range. 90 you can kind of see because like you can expect like if there's someone gets into a bidding war, but taking 80% of what they could get on the open market does seem a little odd.
yeah
But it seems to be holding for now. Players are still getting paid. It's not like salaries are completely deflating across the board.
yeah
You get some instances like Dakota Link's contract or Barraclow's contract where it's a very team friendly deal, but overall they're still getting paid pretty big bucks,
yeah
and not everything in the Sim's going to be exactly 1-to-1 with the NFL. So
yeah. And it takes a long time for these things to play out. So I always have to remind myself like any change is going to take at least a couple years to see how it goes.
mhm.
Um, and again, if prices stagnate, well, that just means probably the cap stagnates for a bit, and we just kind of have a market rate that sits for a while, um, and then maybe more players come along that push it back up, and we can increase it again, or we just say, yeah, the sim has found this place where players cost about this much, and so the cap is about here, and we just kind of work within that. So
As far as I'm aware, there's no inflation in Simland.
no, no inflation.
You don't have inflation, at least unless it's just driven by all the owners in the league wanting to bid really high. But you know, it's not like, oh, the sim economy, we have to keep track of the sim interest rate
Sim
and the
GDP. Yeah.
sim GDP, and so no inflation in sim land. So maybe it does find just kind of a healthy equilibrium at some point.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think 28. I think our last owner approved thing was, I forget if it was 25.67 or if it was 26.78. Um, but yeah, sooner or later we'll have to go back to the owners and say, what do you want to do for the next 3 years? And we'll see if they want to do smaller increases or just cap it flat. But that'll be up to them at that point. Which I like. I like having owners. I like having a thing that's specifically owner related,
Yeah.
um, to reward the guys that have a big staff and farm out the work, that they still have something that they can do that's uniquely their role. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Bingo's still involved. It's kind of owner gets the final say sort of thing on a lot of. He trusts me with a lot. I like to think I'm living up to that trust, but he is still involved. He does still have feedback. So technically my duties are as far as player and roster management, but he still has a lot of input on that, and we work together pretty well, I think.
good. How is he? I know as you said, we're behind a bit on pro days and combine. But how are you feeling about the upcoming draft? I know we touched on it a little bit. You guys are picking 10th and
Hmm.
move to third, but otherwise I think have most of your picks. I don't know how deep you've dived, even pre scouting. If you have ideas of um, positions or other things you might want to go after, or if it's still kind of still in the beginning stages.
Yeah, we have a few position groups of need that we're going to try to address. Kind of, the big elephant in the room being wide receiver, um, as something that believe it was I was talking to Sageo at some point about some college game related stuff, and kind of pointed out that any any really successful QB basically has to have, a real number one wide receiver that he can rely on.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see a lot of QBs, no matter how good they are, if they don't have anyone to throw to, they can't really, you don't really get kind of those Tom Brady situations where in New England, Tom Brady, where he was always throwing to a different cast every year, and the trope that he always elevated everyone around him. Like you
Mm-hmm.
probably to some extent, but it seems that any successful passing attack really needs to have
Mm-hmm.
the pass catchers able to take advantage of the quarterback's talents. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the big elephant in the room. We are still looking to build youth beyond that. I like what we've got going on the offensive line, but and I think along the trenches we're in pretty good shape. I do know that kind of, maybe we look at some linebackers. I think we may, start looking at some tight ends as well. Maybe even like another secondary option at running back. We really like what we found in UDFA with Josh Bassett. He's not, top of his class, but he
Mm-hmm.
was a UDFA find that we didn't have to spend a pick on. He's now 72 overall at 24. So
Nice.
pretty good for a UDFA,
Yeah.
but I think we might need another secondary option for that coming up, especially with running back prime ages. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I do like a lot of where our roster's going, but I do think that we still need to build some youth and kind of get wide receivers settled long term. I think, Walker is going to serve us well in the short term, but really got to find that guy to develop and have it be, really maintain a long term connection with
Mm-hmm.
Landrum.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I few position groups that we're looking at haven't really, as I said, haven't really done any point scouting yet. Kind of waiting on the combine to inform those decisions a little more. But yeah, I think I think it should be a solid class.
Yeah.
What receivers look really good, so there's a lot to like, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I are in a nice position where we don't have to worry about the quarterback class, which I know some people have been underwhelmed by, at least looking at the draft book. But again, I remember when the draft book said that Isaiah Lewis was an A+ quarterback, and I think he went in the fourth
Yeah, I
round.
don't I don't
So
trust the draft book at all. I don't put any stock whatsoever in the draft book. It's you know the amount of variance that's been put into it, I think, is, it's a general vague guide of, okay, these guys are highly regarded, but like you could get a B- in a draft book that are better than A's,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I think that's on purpose to keep the draft book from being too deterministic of a scouting tool. They want
Yeah.
to make sure that people still have a reason to scout, but yeah, I don't really rely on it for much of anything.
Yeah, the very first, the 22 and 23 Sim NFL drafts did have their moments, with occasional reaches and drops, but yeah, it was so very different when it was just like, yeah, everyone had,
Overalls were all known, right?
well,
Like ahead
the
of time.
uh, within like a point, because
Yeah.
all the grades were accurate. So if a guy
Hmm.
was a B, he was a 54 or a
It was B.
55. Like you and the
You kind of knew.
potentials. So overalls and potentials were all true and accurate and public. So it was a lot of
Mhm.
just, well,
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't there for that. But you mentioned not both of us not having to worry about quarterback, which just kind of reminded me of the whole Landrum Anku thing. I believe I mentioned this on the server before at least, but Bingo and I, when we were doing our scouting, they did the focus scouting that year, and we focus scouted a bunch of quarterbacks, and we really really liked Anku.
mm-hmm.
And we were kind of playing. We thought that Landrum would go sooner than 7. We were picking at
Mm,
7 that year, and we thought it'd be like Nebel number 1, then like maybe Landrum number 3 or something is what we were thinking. But so we were planning. We were talking about trading back because he seemed pretty underlooked. But all of his scouting looked fantastic, and we, I think, we were agonizing, but I was saying if we can't trade back, then maybe we just take Landrum. Maybe we just tank Anku at 7.
Mm-hmm.
We were we saw it too, but then Landrum falls to us, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, yeah, this Landrum guy looks pretty good too. Of course, it's
Mm-hmm.
Landrum, and he's kind of sliding. We got to take this, right?
Yeah.
So we take Landrum, and then you grab Anku in like what, the late second round,
Yeah.
and then
Crazy.
he's straight up better. And it's like, oh my gosh, his potential's better, and I think his overall was about the same, or maybe even 1 point higher his rookie year. I can't remember, but it was just kind of like a moment of, oh, we knew, but what are we supposed to do in that situation? We knew he was going to be really good, but of course everyone knew that Landrum was going to go first, and Landrum this, that, and the other, and like we would have looked silly if we took Anku with Landrum still on the board,
Oh yeah.
but it would have been the right call.
Yeah. It's one of
Um,
those like the outcome is not always the measure of how right the decision was. Like
yeah.
Lander was almost probably the right decision. Like there are scenarios where he comes up better, scenarios where it's close. But yeah, it's not like it was a bad decision. Um, yeah, we were looking at him, and then but had I'm trying to think who we took first in that. Oh, that was Huff, I think. It was a defensive end and defensive tackle who we also really liked, even though he had low potential. So we took him bottom
Mhm.
of the first, and we're like, it sucks to miss out on Anku because he looked really good, but we really wanted this defensive end. Because the year previous we had been looking at defensive end, um, Vince Gresham, who got taken super early, and so we pivoted, and so defensive end had been on my list for like years of I want to take a first round guy. So took Huff, and then yeah, I just kept watching him fall. Like, are we really going to get this guy that we wanted at the bottom of the first and the second? And even then, I remember posting in the chat because like Julian Longacre was still on the board out of UCLA, who had been
Outman.
the bigger name, and
Outman was there as well, I believe.
Outman. That's right. Yeah, Outman didn't go till
Yeah,
the third
yeah.
either.
I think I'm pretty sure Anku just had a boom.
Oh,
Because I think that
probably.
was the first year that they did booms, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because that was the year that we got Barraclough. So that was the first year that they did booms, and I think Anku just boomed, and
Yeah,
then Longacre and Outman didn't. Um,
yeah. But I remember feeling even at the time like it was going to be controversial that we took Anku over Longacre. Um,
I do kind of remember the feeling after, like the mood in the after the pick, like you know, Bingo and we were saying that, like, well, if Anku makes it to the third, do we
do
double
we
dip?
take him?
Uh,
Do we pull a Kirk
because he
Cousins and
looked
take him anyway?
so good. It's like, do we just grab him too and then trade whichever one turns out to be the second best? But no, we were just kind of like, oh, there he goes, and then we see people in the chat going like, who the f is Dominique Anku? And we were just kind of like, oh.
Oh,
We were kind of just thinking to ourselves, like talking amongst ourselves. When Bingo, it's like, yeah, they'll see soon
they'll
enough.
see.
He's really good.
Yeah,
But yeah, you really hit it big there.
very very lucky.
Just
We
thankful that you're not that Anku is not at least in our division or conference.
no,
So
we certainly also did not do him any favors this year, trading Lovejoy and then trading Mora. We made it very
the
difficult,
whole,
and he did
yeah.
have a tough year. Um,
I
so
mean, so did Landrum.
yeah, so we're in the same position as you, hoping to build up with we have Dominguez and now Marvin Thomas from the Jets we traded for. So a couple of young guys that we hope can improve in the next couple of years, and that whole core can kind of age together into some kind of offensive unit. Um,
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for long-term success as well, is just kind of having a core of around the same age, so that they'll kind of all peak around the same time.
mm-hmm.
Because we're kind of building up some youth with around Landrum. Like Bassett's gonna decline first, obviously, running back, unless crazy role he gets venerable, but that's not likely. Um, but yeah, we're trying to build up kind of around that age group with like Barraclough. We've got Dylan Palmer as well at tight end,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I is kind of funny. He was a Michigan State product, and I had just signed on with Michigan State at the time. It's like, oh hey, this tight end looks pretty good, and he had like a potential too. So like
Mm.
the overall turned out to be a little low. I think it was like a 58 when he was drafted, and he got him in like the no, we took Devontae Todd in the second round, so he was a third round. 58 in the third round, 58A at least in the third round, I
Yeah.
think is solid. But and
And
he's about to. I think he needs like one more year to really get to that, like really truly, he can be a playable tight end.
mm-hmm.
He's but he's like 68 now.
Yeah. Well,
But we've
and
got. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was insisting on interrupting. Sorry. Well, in tight ends,
Ramble sometimes, so.
tight ends have like 8 attributes that go into their overall. So they
Mm,
get a tough break on overall because even sure there are some who are good receivers and good blockers who are fast and strong and can run routes, but there's not many like that. So I feel like they get those overalls are a bit depressed because if you
hmm
don't need him to block, who cares about those 2 attributes? Maybe they're going to drag him down by a few points, but you're not going to use that. So
Yeah, yeah.
he's yeah.
But yeah, Dylan Palmer, some of the offensive line. Also, I think we've really managed to get a with safety. We merely may kind of managed to luck out because we got Devontae Todd in the second round of that first draft, the Landrum draft, my first draft. And Devontae Todd is really good for a young safety. I think he was. I was almost surprised he didn't get mentioned in the Sim NFL show
Mm,
on safeties, but he was kind of upstaged by players a little bit ahead of him, but
yeah.
he's like second best overall for his age at something at safety right now. And then just this past draft, we picked up after we moved up a couple spots to get back at the very end of the first round, we got Roko Souza,
Yeah.
who is also looking like he has a lot of potential. He's already like mid high 60s,
Yeah.
so
I
I
think
think
I
we've
think
got a
having
lot
that option of
coming
extra
up
year
there.
is going to be good too. That you took him in the
Yeah,
first,
the
and
fifth
now you're
year.
going to have a little bit of flexibility around his contract is good too.
Yeah, yeah. Fifth year option I think will be useful there.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you upset Washington, which is always fun to see.
yeah, kind of pulled a little bit of a fast one on that. We moved up in the first round. We did trade a pretty solid young corner.
Hmm.
And so we did give up something for that. It wasn't like we just completely shanghaied Washington or anything. They still got I forget his name, but that but it was a fairly young cornerback. I think had decent potential and was like around somewhere between 68 and 72 at like 26 or
Mm.
25 or something. So pretty solid. I think there was not
Hightower.
like not like an absolute top flight. Hightower, that was it. Yes. Uh, so I think they did get a good young corner out of the deal, and I know that Washington kind of looking to reset with the youth. I think there's some good for that, but we got Charles Brown, who looked good at the time, but was really just ended up too slow. Um, and moved up a little bit in the first. I think did we give up a second or did we get a second? But or seventh. Not second. We moved up like 2 spots but I do remember that Washington was saying afterwards. The Sweezy was saying that he wanted Souza, so that was always fun to kind of get the upper hand on one of the really trade happy teams.
Yeah. Well, and to your point about timing too, like Hightower's good now, and young enough that he might still improve, but it's also a question of when is he going to peak, and is that when you need your team to peak, versus
Yeah,
Souza who's going to be he was in that same kind of window that a lot of your young core is. Um, so
yeah, and
and has a great
hopefully
name. I
depending
just love the
on
name Roko Souza. It just really rolls off the
Roko
tongue.
Souza is very fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh, so many good names in the sim. Um, You have
you can't discount the impact of a good name. The only thing I don't like about Anku is his name. I can't. It doesn't really like rhyme or go with any
Dominic
sort
Anka.
of
Yeah.
unless you have a fan writing out thank you and then they highlight the Anku. But I guess you can't do that until he like achieves something yet. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he
But
doesn't have a
there's
very
so many
memeable
good
name, but
names.
hopefully that's the worst thing about him.
Yeah. So many good names in the sim. Um, over on the Spartans, we had the transfer Wilfredo Neri, which subsequent has made no shortage of pasta sauce jokes about. But
God.
there's like three quarterbacks between college and the NFL that are like scramblers named Wilfredo. It's kind of weird. I like the Giants had one or something, but um,
Oh
and of
yeah,
course you
Wilfredo Joseph.
have the epic and the best the most incredible name of all names in the sim is you know BYU's Penis McPenisman over Dick Richards.
God.
I
Now
just
that one was a
I always thought he was a creative group, but he's actually not.
really
That was
he's.
a
I, th-
I went and checked the
I
threads.
thought he was.
I didn't find Richards. I didn't find Richards in there. I'm pretty sure he was actually a Gen player. Um,
I don't know. Maybe or
Penis
maybe
Penisman.
I don't know. Maybe Tuscan snuck that one in.
I don't know. I
I
didn't
do
see it in
remember
the
no one
thread.
expected him to go to BYU. That was the funny. That was what I remember was whether or not he was created or not was him going to BYU was the funniest thing. Um, and then you're like, well, no, like everyone talked about him. No one actually put points on him, and BYU just waltzed and took him. Um, but Fish Liggins is still my favorite. The running back
Schlickens. That's
from the
another really good one.
Patriots. Um,
Another really good one. Yeah, the create recruit names, like even like create recruit names, is a whole other thing. That of course lets people be so creative with it. I I didn't I didn't expect Todd Gonzalez to get 20 bombed by Baylor right away. I was really hoping to slow roll him a little bit because he was a punter, and even though he was 5 star, and I kind of got away with slow rolling Aaron Thomas, my first create recruit. Uh, I kind of got away with slow rolling him a little bit. I think people kind of, I don't know if it's just like they didn't need it, or there was like there were enough good running backs that they didn't want to go after him. But yeah, I got shanghaied on Todd Gonzalez because I wasn't expecting people to 20 bomb him right away, and I was trying to be strategic with it. But
yeah,
oh well, I still got a 4 star punter. He'll be okay.
yeah.
I'm just happy he exists.
I created a center to try to replace Timothy Doak over at Indiana, named Larry Perry. But yeah, he gen too well and ended up being a 3 or 4
Illinois,
waiver.
right?
Say what?
Larry Perry went to Illinois, right?
Yeah, that's right. Even worse, he went to he went to Illinois. Um,
Yeah, he looked really good though.
I
Like,
he ended up weird bad luck for me that he ended up being gen so well that he was a top
yeah,
target. Um,
yeah. And my second create recruit this year just ended up as a 3 star that like nobody fought me on because who cares about 3 star cacks? No one's gonna snipe a 3 star cack.
yeah,
Um,
I wish I'd remembered that because I made that's what Taylor Swift ended up being, and then I completely forgot about them. And I don't remember where they signed, but I was like, oh
I
yeah,
love I love that Tuscan like actually went in and did the custom face data for Taylor Swift.
yeah,
That was pretty good.
and said in the off season, hey, there's some Easter eggs in there, and no one found that for like a year. It was like the whole season, and he was like, yeah, I was waiting for someone to point that out.
Yeah, and then there's also that send up to the one like female kicker in the FBS,
Yep,
Katie
that was one of my creative recruits.
Nita or something. Oh, that was you too.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
um,
I started just going crazy with it. I was like once I lost Larry Perry, I was like, I'm just gonna make whatever. I'm just gonna throw weird stuff into the sim and let it just live there. Um,
yeah,
I'd
I've
so
got an idea for my next create recruit. It's I'm not gonna spoil it just yet. I want to see if who can figure it out first, but it is a bit of a stealth pun or like a stealth reference. Um, it should be guessable, but I do have an idea for my first connect this here.
Awesome.
Once that opens up.
I
Oh, Did you know that there is a create a recruit? When I was making the football coach college dynasty thing
mm,
that I made
yeah,
with the
I love that
SimSN
game.
universe. Oh, I need to make a new. I almost forgot. I need to. Well, I'll wait for the portal settle. But once
Yeah,
the portal settles, I need to release this year's roster for that.
yeah. You know he's making a pro
Glad I'm
game,
reminded of that.
by the way.
Yes, yes, I am really excited about that. It is.
Yeah,
I am really, really excited about that. I haven't really found a good pro football sim outside of SimSN that I like. A single player football sim that I really like.
yeah.
Pro football sim. So I'm really looking forward to the follow up there. Uh, but yeah, what I originally found out when I was making that universe file, I had to manually make some edits to one of the create recruits because there was a create recruit kicker. I believe it was on Auburn. I don't know if he's still on Auburn, but he was Rick O'Shea, and he was 7'4", and football coach maxes out the height at 7 feet. So I had to literally go in there and reduce Rick O'Shea's height in order to get the universe to import properly, which is an absurd thing to say. But yeah, for some reason there is a 7'4" kicker out
My
there
God,
named Rick O'Shea, and I don't know who created that, but like,
that's incredible.
uh, there's also, I don't know if it's been fixed yet. I actually think that it might still be, but in the name generation, there is a chance that the last name generates completely empty.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed this because subsequent started collecting players without last names that like they were complete garbage. The ones that he found, they were, like these 1 and 2 stars for the most part. There might have been like one low 3 star, but it was like you just had this one guy whose just name was Michael, and it's like it's just Michael.
Yeah,
And so, between the creator recruits and all the shenanigans that the actual name generator gets up to, I so many good names in the
yeah.
sim.
I don't know if it's been fixed, but for a while at least there was technically a non-zero chance that we could have had a recruit named first name last name.
Oh, the first name last name stuff, yes.
Yeah,
What was it? Ray last name. Uh,
yeah.
there's another last name in the NFL as well. I think on like the
Browns
Falcons or
have an Ian
something.
last name. I
Ian
think
last
I think
name.
he's still on the team. There was first name Ficken. That's another one
First
that.
name freaking, which I that one is doubly hilarious to me because if you know any amount of German, ficken means to fuck. It's the verb to fuck. So like his name is first name fuck, and it's like okay, that's a thing. I'm allowed to swear on this podcast, right?
You're fine. Yeah, you're fine. Um,
uh,
Dean and I did a Blur One thing, but that was a joke that we came up with after the fact, where he was started dissing the Bengals, and we joked that we should bleep out what he said because it would sound funnier. Um, but no, after Dean, everything is fair game. You're
yeah.
uh, so my create a crew for this year. I went on Tom Grossi, the YouTuber.
Yeah, I know. I watch. His videos come up every now and then on my feed. I watch some of them.
Yeah,
I
I, I
so much
went.
YouTube so little time.
Yeah, I went on one of his Friday night streams and asked if I could create a Tom Grossi. If I created a Tom Grossi in this online sports sim that I played in, what should I make him? And he was like, wide receiver, obviously. So I'm gonna make a speed wide receiver
Tom
named Tom
Grossi.
Grossi for next year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's next?
Maybe I'll
The
remember to recruit him this year. I don't know. Um,
what's next? The urinating tree create a recruit.
oh gosh, that's that would be it. Not quite sure how that one would work. That one would be a little difficult.
I that one I don't know if that'd be considered a step too far because I know that Tuscan said no like
Yeah, that's not really a
vulgar
name.
inappropriate names. So I you probably couldn't quite get away with that one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Whenever I'm having a
Maybe I'll
bad
come up with
day, I go to to his urinating trees playoff video, watching the Steelers get spanked by the Browns in 2020. It always cheers me up, just to watch it. Just
uh
watching a man completely melt down live. on the internet. Uh,
He's he's very entertaining when he's angry.
yeah. Which again,
It when he's playing up being angry as well, because he
and that's
plays
what I
tough a
assume
lot.
part of it is. It's there's some level of realism, and then some level of he knows how much to add on top to make a good show.
Yinzer
Um,
mode activated.
yeah, similar to Brennan Lee Mulligan on Dropout, who goes on long rants against. I don't know if you're familiar.
I've heard
Um,
of him. I don't know if I've actually really watched much of his content though.
yeah, improv comedian and dungeon master for Dimension 20, but has a lot of viral clips of him, ranting against random rules or things like that. And he's talked about how in the past, like, yeah, that's me, but it's like it's amped up to the degree that I know it will be funny.
Yeah, I mean, when your content creation generally requires some amount of acting.
Yeah,
Like you have to, it is acting, to some extent. Even if you're covering things as yourself, your own persona. If you're going to be successful about it, you have to know how to deliver what you're trying to say in an
yeah,
effective and engaging manner. So that's not it's certainly not like a bad thing or not great. It was a good thing, really.
yeah. It is what it is. That's fine.
But yeah, Tree's very entertaining when he's angry.
Yeah.
Um,
So now that Michigan State isn't saddled with a C+ quarterback, how are you feeling about the upcoming college football season?
well, it's been 2 seasons now since we've had a C plus.
Okay.
Last year, Neareye was a B plus,
Oh, okay.
but he was a scrambler, but so he couldn't pass. um, and also, yeah, it's last year. It's a whole thing, but uh, I'm really looking forward to him this year because he's up to A minus now, and his throwing attributes are both B minus. And that's not world beating, but I'm really hoping to actually be able to get a play action game going. I would really like to be able to do that, especially now that I got the transfer receiver from Baylor,
Mm.
Ronald Byrne. He's the first real speed threat that I have as well. Um, and yeah, it's been interesting kind of trying to retool that roster. I was, when I came into it, it was in real bad
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been interesting trying to retool that. I still don't know how to. Still don't. We'll see if I'm actually able to make a functioning offense. But I think one of the mistakes I was making with it is I wasn't paying enough attention to my offensive line archetypes
Mm.
and the impact that they had. Because I think I was kind of just assuming that, well, a pass blocking guy will be, he'll be better at pass blocking than run blocking, obviously. But I don't think I realized to the degree at which they would. It's like I'm looking at some of them. It's like, oh, they have B plus pass block, but like D run block.
Yeah.
And I was going very run first because I had scrambler quarterback, and the year before that was Herman Hunter. Um, Forever curse his name. Herman Hunter throwing 50 bazillion interceptions without even being able to run. Um, and so I was trying to go very run first, especially with Aaron Thomas. But I think from the state that the O line I came into and the players I was targeting, I went after too many pass blockers,
Mm.
which didn't make sense for the offense I was trying to run. But I got two decent run blockers this time around, and I've got a couple of like balanced guys to put around them. I think I'll be starting one pass blocker, but he's a senior and he even has like C plus run block, which I think could be kind of passable.
Mm-hmm.
So with the run blocking improving along the offensive line, um, and getting Neareye up to an A minus, and really excited about Aaron Thomas too. According to the overall sort, he's a true sophomore and the second best player on the team by overall. He's
Wow.
going by the overall sort, so he's gonna be a menace in a year or two. He's probably gonna be pretty solid this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the offensive line, he's like B plus still, but
It's 5-star.
he's not in the A range. 5 star, yeah.
Yeah.
Was my creator recruit. I named him after back when the day when I play like NCAA 14, and one of my dynasties on that, it was like it's funny. He ended up being a 5-star running back on that too. I just sent him as a running back, and he ended up just happening to also get 5 stars. So kind of a cool little send up to that. But it's like my favorite player that I recruited back in the NCAA 14 days. But he's looking to be a menace. Yeah, it's what's really going to be interesting is what happens after Nirai, because he looks pretty good right now. The succession plan is going to be interesting. Um, I I have the transfers in for run blocking this year, but next year I'm still gonna be mostly pass blocking with maybe a couple balanced guys.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't have a certain successor for Nirai yet. Um, I've it's not really a secret. I've talked about it in one of the media articles that I wrote, but I recruited a couple of field generals last year. Um, and I am possibly looking at a scheme change coming up. Uh, Not this year, but probably 28, I guess.
Hmm.
Wow, the fact that that's not all that far off is weird, but yeah, kind of looking at a possible future scheme change on that front. I just need to find the right guy at quarterback. Uh, the quarterbacks that I managed to get, I kind of went after these quarterbacks a little late because it was a little late in the season when I decided to really try to see if I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
But they're decent potential 3 stars, so could be. But also it is not certain um, where that's gonna go. So yeah, having to figure out how to run an offense and maybe eventually even pass the ball,
Hey,
which is
if you figure that out, please do
another
let me
struggle we
know.
can relate with. Another
Please.
struggle we can relate with, huh?
Oh my gosh. Last year, just watching Sam Johnson just continue to not put it all together uh, with that
I
trio of
thought he
wide
was gonna.
receivers.
I thought he was gonna pull it together. I really did.
Yeah,
With Pilaf and the other guy.
Looney,
You had another like A grade wide receiver, right? It
Tyler
was
Looney.
Pilaf and
Yeah,
Looney. Yeah, that was it.
which that's another name
Um,
I probably won't be scouting, but I'm interested to see where he goes in this draft class. Again, it's a deep wide receiver year, so he might not go super high, but you never know. He could surprise. But he attributes definitely better than the stats that I gave him. So hopefully he
mhm.
finds a hopefully he finds a good home in the NFL. But yeah, I think Pilaf will be even better,
Yeah.
and he's a senior this year. So, um, but yeah, gonna probably be a little more running oriented for the Buckeyes, based on what I was actually able to pull off. But
Mhm.
we'll see.
Yeah. Buckeyes. That's going to be an interesting one. You do kind of have that centerpiece of the defense and Mac Howard. Uh, ever thought you'd see the day you coach a Howard?
No. um, and
Hmm.
yeah, inheriting one of all things. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Juan Lopez and it's Max Howard and then it's pretty much a bunch of other guys. I got a couple of
Mac
beat
Howard. Max is Florida, but
yeah
Mac Howard.
Mac Howard yeah. Um,
Those Howards have a very confusing naming convention, huh?
it's true,
They're all MAs. Yeah.
but
Is he?
I managed to I've gotten I
Sorry.
oh you're good. I managed to get I have a B overall offensive line now after getting a couple portal guys. So I'm no longer starting any C pluses on offense except I think at tight end. Um, so at the very least, I've gotten beyond the C range for most of my offense, and then still all of my defense. And I got three fairly decent cornerbacks, two man cover guys, and a ball hawk. So maybe we can keep
Yeah.
opposing teams under 40. Um,
Yeah, that kind of sounds like where Michigan State was this past year. That first year, I was starting like a good number of C pluses,
yeah,
including at quarterback. But that second year, I got everyone to B except for fullback and tight end, and then I did not run very much fullback and tight end sets because that's something you could do if you don't have a good fullback and tight end. So yeah, kind of getting in that range where everyone's a B. That's kind of where I was. I had pulled in Rick Drones from the portal right after. That was from Washington State right after Tuscan left, funnily enough. But um, that was my only A minus. And this year, kind of similar, but I think I got a lot more B pluses this time around, and still have an A minus, but this time it's at quarterback with
Hmm.
Neri. I don't even know. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
Part of
I
I'm. Oh,
offense.
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, offense. I think doesn't have any excuses this time around because even though we were still starting mostly Bs this year and last year, on my depth chart tracker spreadsheet, I still improved at like almost every position on the offense.
Hmm.
So no excuses this time, for bad offense. But you're saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like this year I'm going to be almost as invested in Indiana as I am at Ohio State. Because I feel like a lot of Ohio State's games are going to be somewhat forgettable. I'm just going to try to get through them to move on to better things. And then B, I hope that we get a user to take the Hoosiers with that stacked roster and see what they can do with it, and maybe see if they can actually develop an offense or a passing offense. Um, and
Yeah,
and then I want to see where Pilov and some of those other guys, maybe Timothy Moore, who's a joint cornerback, safety, ball hawk. See where some of those guys can go in the draft. So I still have a lot of residual emotion wrapped up in that team, even though I left it. Um,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't. I still I need to stick with the rebound. I think I gotta have to stay at least until Aaron Thomas is gone.
mhm.
After that point, who knows? If you know if the LSU job is open at some point still by that time, maybe I go to the LSU job. But yeah, apparently I'm pretty good at impersonating a Michigan State fan at least because I remember subsequent saying like, he's IRL Michigan fan at
Mhm.
Michigan State, the whole rivalry thing going on. And he was surprised to learn that I was not actually a Michigan State fan or from Michigan. Um, yeah, I live in I'm in Kansas City right now, but I'm originally from Louisiana. Um, graduated LSU, so that's still stick with that. Um, if LSU is open at some point in the future, probably after Aaron Thomas is gone, I might consider it. But I think I gotta at least stay through that.
Yeah, yeah. I made it through a full recruiting class. I recruited Doak and a couple other guys, and then saw them graduate. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's about when I was like, okay, I've done a thing. I'm gonna test the water
yeah.
somewhere else and start over. Hit the reset
I
button.
just say, I gotta imagine that another player you're disappointed to have to leave behind is good old Thomas Dick, huh?
Thomas Dick. Uh, I won a three-way for
More
him.
more of the phallic names.
I won a three-way for him. Um,
On a three-way for Dick.
yeah, it's true. Um,
Yeah,
and actually, he well, indirectly, he's the reason we ended up switching our defense to multiple from two gap because I had Philip Otter, who was a 3-star that had done really really well. Um, and then I was like, well, I'll recruit this Thomas Dick guy just in case. And then I got him, and I realized, oh, I have like 2 more years where I can have both these guys playing together. And so I went searching for something that could still use some of my archetypes, but could let me run two defensive tackles. And that's where multiple came in. And so I kind of alternated last year. I did some of my 4-3 sets with Dick and Otter, and then occasionally I ran the four linebacker set with my two inside linebacker guys. Um,
yeah. Um, it's funny. After during last off season after recruiting closed out, I was in a big sim writing mood, and I ended up writing the Big Ten recruiting recap, where I tried to grade everyone's classes in the Big Ten. And I do remember, I don't know if you saw this or got to that point, but when I did get to Indiana, I did have a lot of fun talking about Thomas Dick, um, and his girthy presence on the interior of the O line.
Always.
that will stand tall for years to come.
You know, I'm 40, but yeah, sometimes you hear a name like Thomas Dick and you turn 12 again. It's hard to resist a good dick joke.
I cannot blame you there. That yeah.
On that note, any so in either league, CFB or NFL, any predictions, any hot takes, any benchmarks you're setting for yourself this year that you say this is kind of what I'm shooting for?
Uh, benchmarks. I want to say that the goal is it's I think depending on how the rest of the division progresses could be a little ambitious, but I think the goal is 500. Um, and really I want to get to a point where like we may not make the playoffs next year, but I want to get to the point to where we are at least like in consideration for the
Mm,
playoffs. Maybe eliminated in the last 3 weeks or something.
yeah.
I think we can consider that a success. I think there's still a lot of room to grow, but I also think that a lot of things are really starting to gel and come together, and it's just a matter of whether the pace of that is going to exceed the pace of the rest of the division. And uh, it's gonna be tough with Carolina in the division because they're the big up and coming team that look like they could really be sticking around a long time as long as they have to go to Link. And they also got that insane receiver core.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
even
did
losing.
rolled pretty bad on progressions though. I think two of them are already regressing. Two of those top three.
Oh,
So
really?
pretty unlucky there. I think Lovejoy regressed, which is wild. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that
They're
that
both
that
still 85 though. I just
yeah,
looked
they're
up.
still really good.
They're still really good.
Still really good.
And they did let one of them walk. I forget. I'm never good with these names of
Oh yeah,
everyone, but
they're
they do.
like they're all five of their linemen were like up for extension. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was
Yeah. As
Eggleston.
predictions and hot takes,
Yes.
I think I don't know how hot this take is given the cap casualties that they've had to undergo this year, but I do think that this might be the first year where Denver does not win the NFC, AFC,
AFC.
AFC. Sorry. This might be the first year where Denver does not win the AFC. Um, I think Carolina's still really dangerous, and I think Carolina um, still like they could win the Super Bowl this year. Honestly, they're with Link really coming up into his prime. Their window is wide open, and you know part of the reason I've been cautious with not trying to go into win now mode is because I'm trying to go into win now mode against peak Dakota Link. I don't think would go well.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to gain a little more youth first, but also just you know it's going to be tough to go up against Carolina. They're running really good ship over there. Sarge and Jumbo, I think, have fantastic job over there. No more than a little jealous, we'll say, but I think that will our time will come.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the league is going to be blessed with some really awesome Link Landrum duels in the coming years. I was very excited to see those two land in the same division that was not mine. Um, but um,
I
I,
mean, you got Kinkery in the mix too. Like
yeah,
it's just gonna be like there was that one point where the real NFC South was like, of course, NFC South these days is just higher fire. But there was a brief moment where the NFC South had the Saints had Drew Brees, the Panthers had Cam Newton.
mm,
Um, I think the Bucks might have been the odd one out, but because I think they was that still Jameis at
oh,
that point. But there's like a year or two where it was you had Cam Newton, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan all in the same division.
wow,
Um, and I don't think. Brady on the Bucks was there at that. No, he definitely wasn't. Breeze was long gone by the time Brady went to the Bucks, I think. But um, it was a hell of a division for a good year or two as far as quarterback quality, and I think the NFC South is also kind of going that direction with just you've got basically the top quarterback under 30 with Link,
Mm-hmm.
and then two really highly drafted, really highly touted developmental, still developing talents in Landrum and Kingery. That South is going to be it's going to be a meat grinder. It really is. I guess other predictions. I don't know. I feel like the AFC West is going to kind of might really start declining. You still got a lot of talent in there, especially like Avila and um. I mean, I know that Denver released Padilla and traded Peter London, so I'm not sure who Denver's running at quarterback right now, but um, that you still got a really aging division as far as quarterback and offense goes out in the AFC West, and I think that they're kind of ready to start taking steps back as far
Yeah,
as that goes. I know, like with the Raiders, they're already moved on from Hickson, so
that's right. Yeah, Hickson's gone, London's gone, so um,
I don't know how hot that take is, but I think the AFC West is definitely going to take a step back.
yeah, yeah, Chopin and Aguilera. So
Yeah, I think Chop and Aguilera regressed, right?
I
I know
believe,
Chop did.
yeah, I think yeah,
Yeah.
Aguilera
So
might even be his second year. I forget.
yeah, they're
Maybe.
still both pretty. They still should both be pretty good. But
Yeah.
two of the quarterbacks are now gone, and two of them are regressing. So I think we're about to really see a change in the guard in the AFC West. I don't know how hot that take is. I feel like that's something people have been seeing coming for a little while now, but I think that's going to happen. Um,
Yeah, I didn't believe it as much about Denver because I've been wrong so many times until they made the London trade, and I went, oh, I think Denver believes it, which is what got me to believe it. It's like the Denver's like, oh, we're going to
uh,
start stacking first round picks, and then
I
traded Chad Bruce to a division rival to get another first to get it first in 2 years. Um,
Yeah, I think I remember Alex saying to the effect that Alex saw last year as kind of the end of the real window,
hmm,
because then they had to deal with the cap crunch, which, to be fair, I think that both Washington and Denver have been dealing with their cap crunch way better than expected.
yeah,
They're both like have room not only to just have a roster, but even to like even do a few little moves in free agency. They've been doing a pretty good job of that.
yeah,
It has not come without price, but they are, because I know that Denver had to let go several pretty well regarded players to kind of cast cap casualties, but uh, they both are weathering the storm on that. I know that I believe that Alex was seeing last year as kind of the end of the real window, and that this coming season was really the start of kind of the retool and rebuild to some extent.
hmm,
Would not be surprised if they eventually came back to contend again. I think um, both Alex and Sweezy are really good at roster management. I think they'll both be back, but I do think that both of them are kind of undergoing a bit of a retool that might go a couple seasons or so.
yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, we shall see. We got just a couple more weeks left till the draft. We're gonna get some pro days. We'll get combine out. Maybe get some mocks up. Start building the anticipation for the draft on the 15th. Um,
mhm.
and then before you know it, we'll be playing games again.
Many
Um,
hours will be spent staring at the interface, overthinking things, while there is nothing really to do while waiting on the next sync.
yeah,
That's kind of off season for you, but at least how I do off season. But off season, my favorite time of year.
yeah,
Honestly, I mean, as a GM, like yeah, it's kind of where the really the big bulk of what I do is happens is
Yeah,
during the off season. But I love roster management. That's my favorite part of like football coach and football simulation games is just building up the roster. So off
yeah.
seasons,
The team building part of it
team
is,
building. Hmm.
yeah. Like, yeah, they play eventually, and I hope they do well. But building the team
Yeah.
is
Eventually,
the fun part.
the games are going to start again, and I'm going to have to stare at a bunch of sliders, wondering how the heck I actually make this work again. But for now, I get to focus on all of the shiny new toys I can collect.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I had a great time chatting with you. Thanks for coming back for a second time on the show.
Likewise,
Um,
likewise.
and hey, but
Good to be back.
yeah,
Glad I got the chance to hang out with you and chat for a while, and you know, just say had done it with Alex Fall the 1 week, but good to do it with the proper host as well. Glad we got the chance to hang out and talk shop.
me too. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode. Appreciate you. And as I say to all users in all of our sims, good luck and have fun. Bye, guys.